Tonight, fire rips through a pile of timber at a Port Augusta industrial facility, and Warabra comes together to celebrate a very special 20th birthday.
From our 7 Spencer Golf studios, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. Fire authorities are issuing warnings to residents in Port Augusta West following a large fire at an industrial property overnight. Hot conditions expected over the coming days is keeping authorities on high alert and closely monitoring the site. Garth Burley has more.
Initially reported as a small structure fire, when fireys arrived on Press Road, they were faced with flames up to 30 metres high and 100 metres in length.
On our approach, we noticed that there was a very large compost heap well alight.
Authorities were called out just before midnight and quickly radioed in assistance from Whyalla, Port Pirie, as well as CFS crews from Stirling North, Corn and Wilmington. It took firefighters nearly 5 hours to contain the large blaze.
At the height of the fire, we had 20 MFS crew, 20 CFS crew.
What sparked the flames is undetermined, but it's not being treated as suspicious. Today, diggers and front-end loaders were recruited to break up the pile and help completely extinguish the fire.
Now it's just a matter of trying to get in underneath the top layers where it's still smouldering away.
But with hot and windy conditions set to climb over 40 degrees in the coming days, crews are remaining vigilant of the danger. MFS brigades from Adelaide drove up this morning to relieve local crews. Authorities are warning Port Augusta West residents about the respiratory problems caused by the smoke, urging them to close their doors and windows and switch off air conditioners as smoke continues to fan across the nearby areas.
This smoke's going to continue on while this fire burns, and this could burn for another 1 or 2 days.
Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Police have recovered the body of a 20-year-old man who was swept out to sea at Innes National Park on the York Peninsula. The man from Parafield Gardens was fishing off rocks at Browns Beach when he slipped and was pulled into the ocean. An extensive search was undertaken involving a rescue helicopter, local police and fishermen. His body was located 2 hours after he disappeared. There are no suspicious circumstances and a report is being prepared for the coroner. It is the second death to occur on a South Australian beach in just a few days. On Friday, the body of missing Victorian teenager Arish Yari was found after 4 days of searching. A Broken Hill P-plater has been caught allegedly driving almost 3 times over the legal blood alcohol limit. Local police labelling it disappointing and are warning other drivers to not make similar decisions this long weekend.
A disappointing decision from a drunk driver. Shortly after 2 o'clock Saturday morning, police spotted the 29-year-old P-plater getting into a car and driving away from a hotel on Oxide Street. Security officers informed the police that the woman had reportedly been drinking at the venue for a number of hours. After failing a roadside breath test, she was taken to Broken Hill Police Station for further analysis. This returned a reading of .13. Police say it's very concerning as they prepare to ramp up patrols ahead of the long weekend.
If you're the holder of a P1 or a P2 driver's licence in New South Wales, you're required to have 0 blood alcohol in your system, which means effectively you can't drink. Operation
Safe Return will be held across New South Wales, targeting a raft of offences.
More police will be out on the roads, and very much our focus is the things we know that cause death and serious injuries, which is speeding, fatigue, drugs and alcohol. So random breath testing, random drug testing and more police out on the roads will be there.
And when it comes to P-plate drivers, police say there are a number of different laws that apply to them. Everything from reduced speed limits to passenger numbers and the type of car they drive.
If you're not 100% sure what you can drive or what you should be doing in terms of mobile phones, and is onto the Roads and Maritime Services website in New South Wales. The details are clearly there about the responsibilities.
Double demerit points will also be in effect. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Meanwhile, a Port Augusta man will face court after being caught drink driving in Whyalla over the weekend. Police stopped a white sedan for a random breath test on Brook Street just after 10:30 last night. It's alleged the 45-year-old male driver returned a reading of .167, over 3 times the limit. He was reported for drink driving and driving while unlicensed and immediately lost his licence for 12 months and had his car impounded for 28 days. New data shows South Australia experienced one of its hottest years on record in 2018. And unfortunately, that trend looks set to continue, with the Bureau of Meteorology predicting more hot and dry seasons this year.
2018 in South Australia was hot, hot, hot. In fact, last year ranks as one of the state's driest and warmest years on record.
2018 was the fourth warmest year on record for South Australia. Days were especially warm in South Australia, with 2018 the second warmest year on record for daytime temperatures.
With soaring and unusual temperatures in April, making it one for the record books.
April was an especially warm month for South Australia, with many sites breaking April temperature records, and South Australia had its warmest April on record in 2018.
But it was our farmers who were hardest hit, needing rain when it counted heading into spring. The lack of rain in September making it especially hard for the state's crops to get going.
September was especially dry for the state. South Australia had its third driest September on record and driest since 1938.
Now into 2019, don't expect to see respite from the hot temperatures anytime soon, with more soaring heat expected until April this year.
In terms of temperature, it looks quite likely that both days and nights, it looks very likely in fact that both days and nights will be warmer than average over the coming 3 months.
And as to whether we can expect an early break of rain coming into the autumn, well, at this stage, it's hard to say.
But for rainfall, there's not actually a strong indication either way towards a wetter or a drier season there.
Casey Trelaw, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us, still to come tonight, why a Crystal Brook family now have a street named after them, and the Broken Hill YMCA finally open. Welcome back. A fifth-generation family in the mid-north town of Crystal Brook have made their mark by having a street named after them. Lambert Road unveiled to the public to commemorate 132 years of community involvement.
The campaign to name a street sign after the Lambert family has reached the end of the road.
It's a very solemn moment, I think, for us to honour a person's name on a street post.
The Lamberts have called Crystal Brook their home since 1885, and generations of the family were honoured to attend an unveiling ceremony at the St John's Lutheran Church.
It's really huge. People have been really supportive, really excited. You can see from the numbers that have gathered here today.
The Lambert family has grown alongside the town, helping to erect foundations of numerous sites, including the hospital, silos and the Beetaloo Reservoir.
Lamberts have been contributing and participating in things in Crystal Brook since that time.
Recognition of the family's contributions are scattered across Crystal Brook, with plaques honouring the descendants on war memorials and along the walls of local club rooms. Yet, never before has a street sign carried the family's name.
It's a road sign, but it means so much more to the Lambert family because it recognises the 5 generations.
Formerly known as Binney Road, the stretch of bitumen proved to be problematic during an emergency scenario.
So if someone has an accident on Binney Road, where are the emergency services going to go? So I thought, well, we need to change this.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
There are major concerns of the future of funding for South Australian roads. The state's councils could be forced to charge ratepayers if a federal road funding supplement is not renewed.
So South Australia has around 11% of Australia's local roads and 7% of the population, but only receive around 5.5% of the identified local road funding grant.
For a number of years, the shortfall has been propped up by supplementary funding. However, if that supplementary funding is not renewed at the end of this financial year, local councils will be forced to decide whether to raise council rates or not upgrade roads. The future viability of Air Peninsula's rail network remains uncertain tonight. The contract between Viterra and railway operator Genesee and Wyoming is due to end in March, and there's concerns major transport could move off the tracks and onto our roads. However, last year, Transport Minister Stephen Caynol assured a freight strategy and rail network study would be completed. However, that strategy remains to be seen.
Rail may stay or it may not. If it doesn't, and if it lifts and goes, then we've got significant road movement issues, particularly for the city of Port Lincoln.
The Port Lincoln Council will meet tonight to push the state government to release the strategy without delay. Child protection services from across the region have met in Port Augusta today to discuss new ways to prevent and reduce the abuse of children. In 2016, 1 in 4 South Australian children reported to child protection by the age of 10. The session was facilitated by Services South Australia, who say regional service providers want more support for staff in what is a challenging role.
The feedback from some of the service providers has been about recognising the difficulties in attracting and retaining staff and for staff to be supported in the work.
Data from these sessions will be used for a report to reform some of the services. They will return to consult with the community over the next 12 months. Regional residents are being invited by the South Australian Government to provide feedback on school bus services. A review is being undertaken with a focus on including non-government schools in the scheme. The public is being asked to consider whether buses should be used for community use. There are over 430 bus services statewide, used by over 14,000 children. To take part, head to the Your Say website before February 15. The Broken Hill YMCA is officially open after its major makeover, and locals are impressed. Over 2,000 visitors flocked to the upgraded centre over the weekend to marvel the new facilities and follow up on some New Year's resolutions.
A multi-million-dollar project up and running.
We're absolutely thrilled to have over the weekend opened the doors to the new integrated wellness centre for Broken Hill.
The new Broken Hill YMCA is now open for business. $5.4 million, turning the century-old building into a modern fitness complex.
To deliver it on time and on budget is a credit to the entire team that's delivered the project for this community.
Thousands of locals visited the centre over the weekend, some there to see what's new, others already breaking a sweat.
Yeah, we had a quick tour at the start, but I just wanted to get into working out, but it's amazing, way better than the other one.
Heaps of room, heaps better equipment.
Special, mate. Pretty special, yeah. It's good to see something like this in town, to tell you the truth.
It was absolutely amazing.
There's so many more facilities that really caters for everyone that they're going to get so many people in here. It's great.
Among the facilities, a youth hub, a creche, a cafe, a gear store and of course plenty of areas where fitness can be achieved. The YMCA also merging with ESTR personal training studios, introducing CrossFit, powerlifting and personal training into the long list of programs and classes on offer.
It's about getting more people more active more often, whether they're coming into the cafe or having a game of squash or using any of our programs. It really is a place that will bring people together.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
$400,000 is set to be spent on upgrading Norton Park in Whyalla as part of a rejuvenation of the city's western suburbs. Residents are invited to have a say in how they think the money should be spent, with the council opening up consultation.
Fun in the Park is a school holiday tradition for Whyalla kids. Norton Park is one of the more popular ones in the city and it's set for a revamp. $400,000 has been allocated to the upgrade, which forms part of their western suburbs rejuvenation plans.
Done some upgrades at other parks around the city and they've had a huge response. The public are loving it, so Norton Park's our next park.
And council want the public's ideas on what the renovated McCritchie Crescent space will look like. The local youth advisory committee will be seeking views during an event this Friday afternoon, along with an online survey.
They'll get a really honest feedback about what they want built here, making sure that we are getting a full picture.
Council has already visited schools in the area. One idea floated is a pump track for skateboarders and bike and scooter riders.
It's only an option, but it's a very positive one that we've received.
Locals have welcomed the upgrade as a positive investment, and they already have a few ideas on what improvements are needed to make it a better area.
It'd be awesome to get like some shade, because sometimes it depends if it gets really hot, like you don't want your kids burning themselves on the equipment and that.
John Hunt, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us. After the break, we'll have a look at the weekend cricket action. Welcome back. Australia Day celebrations in the mid-north just got a little bit cuter, with the small town of Wirrabura celebrating the 20th birthday of Ozzy the Kelpie. The retired stock dog is enjoying her twilight years in the loving household of Catherine Harpus and Daniel Sillins.
Every dog has their day, and none could be more special in the town of Warrabra than Aussie's Big 2-0 this Saturday. She was the runt of the litter, she survived cancer, and she also has diabetes, but she's managed to make it to her 20th birthday on Australia Day. The proud old girl will be turning 87 in dog years, and she won't be slowing down anytime soon.
Every year down at the park here at Warrabra, so we'll be taking her along, and hopefully she'll get a free sausage as a birthday present.
Nothing symbolises our nation's holiday better than mateship, and Aussie has spent the last 5 years of her life being the family rock for the household's rescue pets. Adored by a couple of chooks, a one-eyed cat, and even by Gordon Ramsay, the hungry sheep. Of course, her sidekick, Chicken Nugget, is never far behind.
She just loves hanging out in front of the fire in the winter, in front of the air conditioner in the summer. Just likes hanging out with her mate Chicken Nugget, the little staffy.
Aussie has spent a long life working on a sheep station in Jamestown, where her original owner was a stonemason and she was the foreman. Her owners, Catherine and Daniel, adopting an older woofer has made for a great addition to their family.
There's so many dogs out there that are great dogs, they're just not a puppy anymore.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Golf News.
And now for a look at the weekend cricket action from across the region. Garth Burley is in Port Augusta, and Garth, West Augusta nearly caused another upset.
Yes, Louise, Westies were in prime position after setting a competitive 183 in their first innings. Yours truly even put behind years of disappointing batting performances to chime in with 76 not out. Westies blasting 98 runs from the last 15 overs. Corn kicked off their chase well and were securely placed at 2 for 68 at the 20-over mark. But the Westies bowlers snagged key wickets to leave the game in the balance, with Corn 7 down, needing under 50 to win. But a 34-run 7th wicket partnership helped rescue the home side, who eventually won the game by 2 wickets. In the other match, South Augusta continued their run at the top with a comprehensive 7-wicket win over Central Stirling. Turning to Port Lincoln, who traded the red ball for a white ball as part of the 2020 competition. Southern Air and Lincoln South both recorded wins in their final matches, while Tasman bowled Waybacks out for 60 to cruise to an easy win. Whyalla also continued their run of white ball cricket. 72 from opener Josh Ackland helped Central Whyalla to 141 off their 20 overs. But it was no match for Rupina, who chased down the target with just 4 balls to spare. Waylon Nielsen smashing 72 of just 48 balls. And finally to Broken Hill. 45 to West opener John Bishop helped his side record a 14-run win over the winless Central. And in the other match, South were rolled for 77 in their match against North, the North top order passing the target in the final over. So Louise, with the Big Bash pleasing viewers around the country, many local teams are getting into the spirit by playing their own 2020 competitions. It'll be interesting to see if this affects their form as we move towards the end of the season. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Garth. Coming up after the break, we take a look at the weather with Briss. Welcome back. Now time for all the weather details with Britt Aylen.
Thank you, Louise. Well, it was another hot and fine day across the region. 40 the top for Port Augusta, Whyalla got up to 34 degrees, Port Lincoln 30, Broken Hill 39 and Port Pirie 37. The satellite shows clouds stretching over South Australia while a high south of the state weakens. A new high will develop in the Tasman, remaining stationary there for most of the week. South to southwesterly winds on the waters tomorrow at 10 to 15 knots, swells to 1.5 metres. It's a full moon tonight, and sunrise is due just before 6:30 with sunset at 8:32. It's looking hot and mostly sunny again tomorrow. Port Augusta and Broken Hill both at the top of 43, 42 the top for Woodner, 39 for Clare and Kadina, Port Pirie 38, Whyalla, Cleve and Coffin Bay all 37. And it's looking to remain fine through the week, with temperatures warming up some more before dropping again on Friday. Port Lincoln 33 on Wednesday, 37 on Thursday, but back down to 27 on Friday. A similar pattern for Cleve, 40 degrees on Wednesday, a top of 42 on Thursday, but just 30 on Friday. Woodner 45 on Wednesday, 43 on Thursday, 32 on Friday. Whyalla 41 on Wednesday, Thursday 45, Friday back down to 31. Port Augusta in the mid-40s for the next 3 days, but a top of 35 on Friday. Kadina 42 on Wednesday, 44 on Thursday, Friday 32. Staying fine in Port Pirie, Wednesday 40, Thursday 42, but the maximum drops by 10 degrees on Friday. Clare spending Wednesday and Thursday in the early 40s, back down to 32 on Friday. Sunny and 43 in Broken Hill on Wednesday, a possible storm on Thursday and a top of 40 on Friday. And Louise, that's all for Monday's weather.
Thanks for that, Britt. And that's your local news for this Monday. We thank you for your company. I'll have updates later, but until then, enjoy your evening.